Hello and welcome to Indie Comic Audio, episode number 4. In this episode, we talk to Austin Allen Hamblin of Hamblin Comics. Stay tuned. Hello, this is Dexter Jacobs. I'm your host. This is Indie Comic Audio. And in this episode, as I just said, we get to dive in and learn a little bit more about an indie creator whose name is Austin Allen Hamblin. He is another Iowa native, fellow I've actually not had the chance to meet before, although we have been in the same place at the same time at the few cons that I have been to. And it was a bit of fun to talk to him and get to know him a little bit. He's got a lot of experience getting kind of published in things, it seems like, but mostly doing a lot of his own publishing. He's interning at Devil's Due, and basically just a very passionate guy about comic books. It was a pleasure to get to talk to him, though he was possibly shirtless at the time. It was an interesting interview. Stay tuned for that. Learn a little bit more about a fellow creator. And in the meantime, if you'd like to head over to Twitter, you can find me at Indie Comic Audio. And if you'd like to head over to Facebook, you can just go to facebook.com/IndieComicNinja. If you'd like to go to the website, it's indiecomic.ninja or indiecomic.audio. Both of them will get you to the cool stuff that is the things that we talk about. But if you'd like the show notes will be at indiecomic.audio/episode 4. That is the number 4. Yeah. So, without further ado, here is the conversation with Austin Allen Hamblin. There's always the joke about Skyping without any pants on, but I don't know about no shirt.
I'm a first time for everything.
I guess. Yeah, it's interesting to interview you, too, because I've never met you.
Yeah, and minimal talking beforehand.
Yeah. But I think partly what interested me was how excited you were for me to interview you. And then also just knowing Tom, and I've noticed on Facebook you were friends with a couple other people I knew. So, but you are in Jessup, Iowa?
Yes.
It's middle of nowhere, right?
Absolutely. Waterloo is about 25 minutes away, and that's where I work because there's nothing near me besides farms.
Right. Which is funny because I try to argue that Iowa is not the middle of nowhere, but
Ooh, this one's the epitome. This is the one that's going to break your argument.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, and I've been to rural Iowa, and it can be a scary place.
Oh, dude, there's places just like driving home on these back roads where there's no streetlights.
Yeah.
Middle of the night, and like there's cornfields and moonlight. I'm like, this is a place where a horror movie happens. Absolutely.
Yeah, but more likely just a deer to jump out and kill you.
Oh yeah, no, which is the real threat.
Yes. But yeah. So anyway, I guess how long have you been doing comics? 'Cause I've watched your YouTube channel for a little bit, and I feel like you talked about. I looked at your resume and it says 2012.
Yep, that was the first. Yeah, that was the first one. It was actually my senior year of high school, and I got it out like the end of November, beginning of December of 2012. So I just stuck that in real quick. But that was the first thing that I got at, like actually like imprint, self-published book of just short comics that were pretty god awful looking back. But I mean, they always say write what you know, and like
Right.
let's go here. What does a high school senior really know? Not shit.
Yeah. That's like I have friends that were in a band in high school, and I feel like a couple years into college, it was the same band, but they just renamed it so they didn't have to play the songs anymore.
that I feel I relate to that a ton.
Yeah. So you moved on from that to you have a couple series going on now. It's Punk and Rock.
Yeah, The Adventures of Punk and Rock.
Yeah.
Scott Twelves Who Draws It was one of the first people that I collaborated with in general. And he was super great to work with. He like some people get like for lack of a better term butthurt when you're like, hey, you could do this, and he's been doing so. Like he actually has kids that are my age, which is kind of weird to think. But he's like, hey, if you do this, or is it okay if I do it this way because it'll work better? So I learned a lot from him, and then I was working on this idea for what would become punk and rock, and I just sent it to him, and I'm like, hey, can you read this over? Let me know what you think. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then like a week later, he sends me back like a bunch of character design. And he's like, can I draw this?
Nice.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's always encouraging.
Especially as rough of a premise as what I sent him
Yeah.
back in the beginning. It was not. It was nowhere near what it ended up being.
So then with punk and rock, I read the first issue. I didn't have time to read the rest. But that art style was actually really interesting. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But it's a story about two mercenaries, correct?
Yeah, it's the two screw-up bounty hunters will do anything for money. The title characters, Punk and Rock. The third main character being the narrator.
Right.
Not only narrates the comic, but interacts with Punk, Rock, and you, the reader, and only narrates the comic because he needs to pay alimony to his ex-wife, with whom he has 27 children.
That's a lot of children. So is the narrator... Is that just a disembodied like voice, or do you have like an idea of what he might look like? Because I guess he is alive, or maybe not alive, but he is like
he exists,
right?
Because it's not the voice. There is a physical form somewhere.
Because he got threatened by that mob boss in the first issue,
the cyborg monkey.
Yeah.
It's funny because we had so we're working on the graphic novel right now, and we're doing some extra short stories for it, and I had wrote one about the narrator, and it was about how the narrator met his wife, his ex-wife.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where I'm like, we decided not to use it because how did we draw him? Like, I thought it would be funny if it was just a giant sensor bar, like his arms and legs were just all independent sensor bars, and that you'd never like see what he looked like. Because like I feel like if you show what he looks like, it totally takes away from the snarky asshole voice. But I would like to picture him as in the first Men in Black, where the old man dies and there's just a tiny alien on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like all bark, but really just giant wuss.
Okay, that's awesome. I like that.
Over there.
Yeah. No, that was an interesting comic. And so then, does it basically just continue along that, where like do the characters ever become like good guys, or are they just basically continuously bad guys?
Well, it's one of those. So, like, each issue is a self-contained adventure, and like literally, you could read any issue in any order, and still, like maybe one time they reference something that happened in a past issue, but it's nothing that's that big of a deal. So there's issues where they're good guys. There's issues where there's bad guys. There's issues where they're neither. Like the second issue is a professional wrestling tag team tournament.
Nice.
So the narrator says, he's like, I'm going to train you. And they're like, why would you help us? He's like, you're late on my checks, and so there's like, all this training stuff. They face their fears, and then it's like a pro wrestling story. So it's just kind of an adventure with those two.
Okay. So they're basically just doing anything is the premise.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I mean, because like, some issues, obviously they get their jobs are hard to do. Other ones, they're just messing around. I would like to say there's a plan, but it just kind of got to the point where, like, especially since each issue is self-contained, we can just do something absolutely crazy that's one issue. So we've got space pirates, pro wrestling tournament, medieval slugs, hallucinogenic bugs, zombies. Just I don't know. It kind of got to me where I'm like, what haven't we done yet? What is something weird that's not done yet? Like I even have a script that we were originally going to do for the second issue that's like a superhero story that we need to get back to, where they hit with their van the superhero of the universe, but and he's injured, so he bestows them with the hero ability so that they can take his job for him. And obviously that does not go well.
Yeah, that sounds good. So how many issues do you have?
So we got 5 issues right now.
Okay.
And the only reason we don't have a 6th issue is because now we've been gearing up for the trade.
Okay.
The graphic novel is going to have all the issues colored because they were released in black and white originally.
Okay.
Except for the 3rd issue, which was like, a full color special. And we're doing bonus stories for that. There's bonus pinups. There's like a punk rock playlist, which is songs to listen to while you read.
Nice.
There's some short like prose story, like text, non-comic. There's a lot of just like bonus material and then bonus comics and stuff.
Nice.
We're trying to make it, one of those things where it's like, oh, cool, because what I always liked is like there's trays that I bought where like okay, I'll buy the floppy volumes, right, like
Mm-hmm.
1 through 5, and then they'll come out with a oversized hardcover edition with a bunch of extras, and I love the extras. Just
Yeah.
and so I'm like, we'll just do as much crazy weird extras as we can, and
Uh-huh.
it's gonna be like 200-ish pages, give or
Oh,
take
wow.
20 or 30. That's
It's a good coffee table book.
it. It,
Maybe.
it'll be cool. It'll feel real, and like
Right.
not that floppies aren't cool, but like trade.
Yeah, yeah. So, I guess then, do you only deal with print, or do you do? Because I don't think I remember seeing anything on the web.
So the right now, if you go on, so there's Drive Through Comics. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're kind of like
Mm-hmm.
Comixology, but not as nice. That sounds bad, but it's really true. They don't have near as many titles, but it's easier to put things on there because
Okay.
basically it's just you upload a PDF,
Mm-hmm.
within whatever their parameters are, and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some issues of Punk and Rock up there that are for free. There's some on my website that you can read for free, but uh, I haven't gotten anything on Comixology, which is kind of ironic. Really, because the fact that like I'm so much into social media.
Yeah.
Like I've got the Facebook page, I've got the YouTube channel, but then I intern right now for Devil's Due and First Comics,
Yeah.
and I actually deal with Comixology for them, and I don't even have my own stuff on Comixology.
So
Like,
we can talk about that later. I wanted to talk to you about that at some point. So,
okay.
we're talking about your comics right now, though. I'm trying to find you on. Oh, there it is. I just went to the drive-through comics thing.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. I just put them on as free reads because it's one of
uh-huh.
those things. I'm just trying to get people to read my work right now. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
why should you like? It's one of those things where it's like there's some indie creators that I know that they're like, I don't understand. My book's $2.99. Why won't
Mm-hmm.
anyone buy my book? And at a convention, say, and I'm like,
Right.
well, look at it as a standpoint from someone walking by. If you're walking by and you see this guy you've never heard of with a book for $2.99, or to your right, there's this guy who not even necessarily a Marvel or DC, but it's an Oni Press book or an Image book or whatever,
Right.
same price. They're always going to go for that one because it's even if they don't recognize that writer or artist or colorist, they recognize the publisher, and it's
Right.
all about name recognition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many times do you go through the comic book store, you see a comic, you have no clue what it's about. You just see the cover, and you see, like, for me, if I see Lemire, if I see his name on anything,
Mm-hmm.
I buy it.
Yeah.
It could be oriented for little girls on the moon, and I don't care because I love Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, that's how I felt about like Rick Remender.
Oh, okay.
Until I heard that he was behind the whole Captain America debacle that just happened.
Oh, really? I didn't hear that.
I read that it was his idea on the internet, and the internet doesn't lie.
Never.
And I can't remember where I read it. I think it was like comicbooks.com or something like that. No, it was the Nerdist. It was on the Nerdist's
Oh, okay.
article about it.
The
It was,
Nerdist is pretty reliable.
yeah, that's what I feel like. And as soon as I read his name and that's what was happening, I was just like, oh, I guess we're done.
I was a big Remender fan,
Yeah.
and then they did Frankencastle off that Dark Reign run, and I was just like, oh, why? So good. Like, he had to die for the storyline, but I'm like, you do the Franken, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
was such a Punisher.
Yeah, that he wrote it was his run of X-Force back in like 2011 with the Dark Angel saga.
Yep, I remember that.
That's what got me back into comics because I really hadn't read them since I was a kid. I was like really into Spider-Man and mostly the X-Men and Batman. But then I got like a wad of cash for my birthday basically, and I was fresh out of college. No, not fresh. I'd been out of college for a couple years at that point, but I was just like, I'm gonna go blow this money on some comics.
the way God intended it.
Exactly. And so yeah, I just went in and spent all my money, and I've been hooked on comics since. I don't read as much Marvel or DC anymore. And,
Me neither.
And that's why I'm trying to meet as many indie creators as I can, just so I can get some good comics to read.
That's how it's always been. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that I don't like superhero books. I love them too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Marvel and DC books. But the only thing that bugs me is like how many people have you talked to that the stigma is they think of comics, they think of superheroes.
Right.
Now, when I think of comics, I think of another way to tell a story.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like a book. Look at all the genres of books. You've got Sasquatch porn, and then you've got like the next great American novel.
Wait, is that like Canadian books or something?
There was this woman.
Yeah.
This thing. So, like, you can put a book up for Kindle download.
Okay.
She made $100,000 in 1 year, and it was Sasquatch like smut.
Oh wow.
and it wasn't even like that big of a book.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
I
and she was
think
like a stay-at-home mom.
people must have just been buying it out of curiosity. I hope.
I, with the people that I've met in my life, I think some of them are just like, man, we're not gonna go down the rabbit hole of talking
Yeah.
about
No. We can move on. The other book that you wrote that I read was the
Headless Hitman.
The Headless Hitman, which just is a great title. I'm surprised that nobody else has taken it yet.
Me too.
But I only read that first issue, and I thought it was
really...
just
a little part of it. It's all getting finished right now. So
okay.
I think you had like the first 6 pages in the cover or something
okay.
like that.
Is it okay? And yeah, it felt like it wasn't finished. I guess it was really short. But just kind of that introduction to the characters was really nice. And I liked that, like, just I guess in that section where like it seemed like they were trying to plan like the perfect bounty, getting this guy the right way, and then the headless guy just barges in and just smashes him.
Yeah, they break. They're like talking about it, and they break through the wall, and then he's just dead. And then they're like, "A kill's a kill," and then they just take his head as proof to collect the bounty.
Right, which I thought was kind of, it was funny because he's headless, but then it's also just because like that's the old way of doing it.
Oh, no, for sure. And like the funnest thing about that is like I tell people, I'm like, the Headless Hitman. They're like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm like, what's it about? And I'll be like, okay, it's just, I always say, I describe the universe as cyberpunk Tokyo meets the Shire.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
You've got all these supernatural creatures, and I'm like, yeah, and so being a hitman is fine, and the Headless Hitman is the Headless Horseman's brother, which you haven't got that part of the story yet, who could never live up to him. And he takes out hits with his best friend / partner, El Kikasso, a cigar-smoking lucha libre baby who is now retired from the ring.
Right. So how long had the baby been wrestling? Like half a year? 3 months?
I don't even know. That's one of those things that I'm like, we'll just leave it open to interpretation.
Right. I almost was wondering if he was like an alien or something, but...
there will be an origin story eventually. And it's funny because his finishing move from when he's in the ring is called Baby Bash.
Okay. Is it good?
I'm huge into pro wrestling, so I
know.
And so I had to. I don't know. Baby smoking cigars too. It's not to love.
No, it was great. I enjoyed it, and I was a little disappointed that it just ended the way it did with that preview, but it made me excited to read some more. So that was exciting. Whoa. Knocking over my pop filter. It's a hack job. It's a 2x4 holding up a shirt on a.
Are you kidding me? This is some cyber. Nobody can see. It's a podcast, man.
No, I know.
Unless I find out this is a video because I'm not wearing a shirt.
No. I won't video that. I just wanted that for dialogue.
People are just seeing the sweater here that I've got on.
No, disgusting. Yeah, I tricked you good, didn't I? No, this won't be online.
I was gonna say no one will watch this if they see that.
No, my recorder only records audio, so.
My God.
I turned the video off just in case, kind of thing. So anyway, I might just edit that out.
Leave it. Let the weird flow.
Okay, maybe. Another interesting thing, speaking of going back to punk and rock, is I didn't realize that you had that extra story in Nextus in Volume 3.
Oh yeah.
I read it, and I knew that one of Tom's friends wrote it, and I read it, and I was just like, that was funny. That was a goofy narrator. I liked that. And then I moved on. And then we were at SpringCon or MSP Comic Con this last week, or 2 weekends ago. I was with Tom. I shared a booth with him, and I said I was going to interview you, and they were like, "Oh yeah, he has a story in my book." I'm like, "He does?" So I had to go back and read it again. But that was interesting.
Yeah, it was funny because he's like, posted on my Facebook. He's like, we're gonna do Volume 3 soon, and then I just like Facebook. I'm like, need any stories, bro?
Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, I could have one, and I'm like, how about a crossover? And he's like, yeah, let's do it, because he's always been a fan of punk and rock, and I've always been a fan of his stuff. So it was kind of cool because they both take place in space, so they could just meet one time, never meet again, and they could literally actually work.
Well, and it turned out though that it was just a dream, and so it might not even be the same. Oh, did I ruin the ending? I'm sorry.
It was the ultimate hack ending.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it was all a dream. None of it mattered. And it wasn't even like an Inception thing where
I
it
suppose
works when it's in a dream within a dream within a dream.
I suppose I mean, you could even make the argument though that it wasn't a dream and that, you know, they were just nice enough to return him to his bed after he passed out. And that's just all he remembers.
I mean, I think now I want to rewrite that story because it would work better with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. Everything works better with Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
I don't know. Joseph Gordon-Levitt helps. He could kick some butt.
No, that is true.
Yeah.
He's Robin, named Robin.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know how I felt about that. As soon as
I was like waiting for him just to be like, to be like, call him Grayson or something. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, that works. It's like they're like Robin, and I'm like,
he's basically Jason Todd though, being an orphan.
I don't hate him.
I guess they're all
I didn't hate him.
Yeah,
he's not Jason Todd. I don't hate him.
Do you not like Jason Todd?
Well, but do you remember what happened with the 1-800 number?
No.
Okay, so when Jason
when they
call and vote if he lived or died, and like with a landslide, people killed him.
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen when you let people vote on whether or not to kill somebody.
Yes, let me choose.
I heard there was a movie, and I can't remember what it was or who the director. It was a famous director, and there was supposed to be like this thing where you could vote during. It was just like back when they actually had intermissions at movies.
Oh, okay.
And so during intermission, you could vote on the ending. But the thing is he only made one ending, and it was like the negative one where people die, because he knew that that's what was going to happen.
My God, that's a gamble.
Yeah, I guess. Well, and then you just don't tell anybody, I guess, if you know what the voting outcome actually was.
And especially if it would but it would work. It's be like, so now here's the happy ending, and it was like that was so sad. Like that was the happy ending. Imagine the bad ending.
Exactly.
So much worse.
Yes. So anyway. What other comics? I mean, I feel like you might have other comics. Those are the two that I was able to get to.
Most of the other stuff that I have is all shorts and anthologies.
Okay.
So like, I mean, I did that story.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in twice on a horror Christmas anthology.
Okay.
I did a story about a murdering elf on a shelf. Because
that makes sense.
I'm sorry, it was a helper elf due to copyright.
Right.
It was creepy.
Yeah. No. I mean, those things creep me out anyway, and my child will never know that those exist.
I'm pretty sure. So my brother-in-law has one, for my niece, and I'm pretty sure he like took pictures of it like with a knife, like with like made it blood. It was just like I'm like that is horrific.
That is. I'm not gonna sleep tonight, just because of that.
I also did 2 stories in an anti-bullying anthology.
Oh, nice.
That was one of the very first things I ever did that I actually got published in. There's been some magazines that I've been in. The best one, I just want to tell this story quick about this magazine. So it was going to be a magazine. So they were like, short horror fiction, some art, and mine was like the comics thing in there. And it was a cover in like 5 pages, and they wanted to, as they did more issues, continue the story in like 5-page increments, kind of like heavy metal,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, sweet, cool, I can do that. So they gave out 5,000 free copies at San Diego Comic-Con one year.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
a lot of people be seeing my work. Whatever. And that was actually the summer after I graduated high school. So I'm like, sweet. So it was in the summer of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get my copies in the mail before Comic-Con. And I'm like, sweet, this looks great. I email them and I go, so when do you need, the stories for the second issue? And they go, we're not going to be doing a second issue. And I said, why not? They said, we didn't make any money off the first one. What part of giving away 5,000 copies for free did you think you were going to get? The return would have been on Q2.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
That's too
There's
bad.
been some places that I've got printed in that it's just like a nightmare like that.
Yeah, well, part of the business, I guess. Especially being indie.
Another magazine, I sent them, it was just a 1-page story for their horror magazine. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I sent them a high-res TIFF print file.
A
4-print file. And I buy my copy, or they didn't even give me a copy, so I bought my own copy to see it. I didn't even get one free copy. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's pixelated, and I go, how do you pixelate the high?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people are probably sending in like crappy PNGs and JPEGs, and it's showing up absolutely fine. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. That's always disappointing when they don't know what they're doing.
The best thing is places are notorious for giving me a bio without asking that are so wrong.
Yeah.
One was like said that I was like he lives in Iowa. Okay, they got that part right.
Yeah.
Where he illustrates comics and goes to college. I don't go to college and I don't draw comics. And in the story, it said written by, art by, letters by. Didn't even look at that.
Yeah. Oh well.
It makes a good story.
Yeah. No, and it gets you talking to people, I guess, who ask you about it.
The ones who ask, I've never been asked. It's like either they they don't put one, or they put one and don't ask, and it comes out wrong.
Well, I'm not gonna ask you, and I'll just put something in the show notes.
It'll be like he's a female comic artist from Nigeria.
Yeah, just anything to get people to listen. Anyway, okay, so those are your books. It seems like too you've been really busy doing cons lately. You were at C2E2 and then at Wizard World, and then this last weekend at Planet Comic Con.
Yep, I was at Planet Comic Con. I set up there, and then I was Free Comic Book Day. I was in Galena at a library show.
Oh, nice.
I do so the Planet Comic Con in Kansas City was the first big one that I set up at.
Right.
I've been to a bunch of big ones, but this is the I actually set up at.
Okay.
Split my table and rode down with these people and hotel and all that, made it cheaper.
Yeah.
And I didn't do amazing. I didn't even make my money back, but that's how this is.
Yeah.
I have like an email list where I'm like, I'll give you the first issue of Pumpkin Rock for free if you sign up. I'll email it to you.
Nice, yeah.
And then I tried it, and I'll be like, and I'm like, I'm not going to spam you. I'm just going to send my author page in there on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Some people bite. Whatever, I sold some stuff, I did that, it was fun, and I went around and talked to people. Like, cons for me, it's like, my people, my tribe.
Yeah.
Let's go bug people. It's hard for me to stay at my table, because I just want to, it's like a family reunion, in the Midwest especially, because you see the same people at every one.
Right.
Or not necessarily every one, but between all of them, you see.
Yeah. No, it's a blast. Because I think, I've only gone to a few in general, but when I went up to SpringCon, I wasn't at my booth for very long. It was it was hard to sit there on Saturday, and then on Sunday I was just walking around the whole time. It was nice.
SpringCon and FallCon are one of they're like in the Midwest. They're the best small show.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't even call them small because there's a lot of stuff there, and a lot of Dan Jurgens is there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going up there and getting his autograph without waiting in a line.
Nice.
And Mark Wade too.
Mm-hmm.
At C2E2, his line is like half hour, 45 minutes. I just walk up to him and sit there, talk to him for 15 minutes about Throwbent.
Yeah, that's nice. That's because it's Minneapolis and not Chicago, I guess.
It's true. I don't know. I they always do really good at people, but I'm surprised it hasn't blown up.
Yeah. Well, and this year, Saturday was pretty busy, and then Sunday was just dead. I don't know what the deal was. I think
because usually they do a one-day show, so I wonder if it,
for SpringCon. I thought it was a 2-day. Or no?
Is SpringCon?
Yeah.
Because I know fall is always one day usually.
Well, that one sounds smaller to me, and it sounds like
I know it is.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I don't know.
Yeah,
but I actually wanted to know, you were at Wizard World in Des Moines that same weekend, and we were hearing rumors that it didn't go as well as last year.
Oh no! Oh God, no! It's so the first year I am not a fan of. I'm not too big of a fan of Wizard shows anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Back in the day, Wizard Chicago, it's a hell of a show over at the Rosemont. Loved it.
Yeah.
But so the first Wizard World Des Moines, I'll tell you know what, they did awesome. They had the Walking Dead variant cover that Phil Hester and Eric Gapster did, which are two Iowa guys, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of guests.
Yeah, I got Shatner's autograph on my Tech World. I had a first issue of Tech World.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, which I heard was a huge flop for him, so I felt bad having him sign it, but I didn't care.
Want to feel bad?
Yeah.
But this year there was less comic people.
Yeah.
There was more vendors.
Right. Yeah.
And there was to be honest with you, there were some people there, and I'm not going to name any of the names, but there were writers or artists that they're contracted by Wizard to be at so many shows. And some of them you could tell did not give a crap about. They did not want to be there.
Yeah.
Tried going up to them, chatting them up, and they just
nothing.
They didn't want to give me the time of day. One was even just reading on his Kindle, and I went up to talk to him, and he was annoyed.
Huh.
And my girlfriend went with me, and this is the first con she's ever went to, and she goes,
"Yeah,
is that a regular thing?" And I'm like, "No, that is not a regular thing."
That's really weird.
I said,
yeah.
someone drawing, like I get that, but usually they'll be like, "Oh, hi," they'll say something. But reading on your Kindle, that's a new one, and from
Yeah.
an established professional at that.
Right. That's too bad. Huh.
So
And
yeah, and they didn't a lot of the people that I know from Des Moines said they didn't advertise near as well as they did the
no,
first year.
I work next door to the convention center, and I didn't even realize it was in town until like 2 days before, and I noticed that there was
That's
a banner up.
that's what everyone else said. They said that they
Yeah.
didn't see the banner until 2 days before.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't the radio because, like, I remember when I went the first year, driving down, I was listening to Laser,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "We're live here at Wizard World," and they were there, and I'm like, "Awesome!" They were getting pumped, and then just this year it was
Just nothing. Yeah.
I was a little disappointed, and it was funny because someone's like, "Oh, how was it?" I'm like, "Let's put it this way: I really, really regretted not going to SpringCon."
Yeah. Oh well, we'll see you up there next year.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe I can actually finally meet you in person.
Maybe I don't want to because you're gonna see me in person. It's gonna be far worse.
Yeah, you'll have a shirt on.
Ooh. Maybe we would hope so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're at the after party, maybe not.
It's like my dad. My dad is notorious for not having pants on.
Oh.
So much so that when I have people come over,
Mm-hmm.
and like in high school and stuff, even now, because I still live with my parents, I have to open the door and be like, "You got pants on?" "No, 1 second." And grabs, put a blanket over, which literally happened the other night with my girlfriend coming over.
Oh, nice.
Because I didn't think you were coming back. I'm like, "Yep, it's gone 10 minutes. Not take you long to throw your pants off."
That's awesome.
I know this has nothing to do with comics, but everyone who has a father can relate.
No, I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be me when I'm an older father.
You have to think about that. You're like, gonna be me. That's gonna be.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, okay. And so maybe this is a good segue into your internship. So you're at Devil's Due?
Yeah, Devil's Due and First Comics, and they're like partner companies. So for both of them, I do stuff.
Okay. So what exactly is it that you get to do? Just get coffee?
They're based out of Chicago.
Okay.
So everything that I do for them is online.
Nice.
So
that's nice that they're willing to have remote interns like that, I guess.
Absolutely. So it's a lot of the stuff I do. It'll be like they'll screen share through Skype to show me how to do it.
Uh-huh.
Or whatever. And I actually hadn't met them until last weekend. None of them in person.
Nice.
And then I met the whole crew, and then like pretty much everybody who works on books there.
At Planet Comic?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Because they set up down there, and then like Kaylin, oh god, I can't think of her last name. She does Plume. She was there. Josh Blaylock, who runs it.
Mm-hmm.
The Squarriors team, Daniel Lester, who is going to be doing Lords of Gore book there. But so some of the stuff I do is I was running social media accounts for them.
Okay.
If you're a publisher on Comixology, you have to have these spreadsheets full of information for stuff of like on issue, like the ISBN, the release date, the cover price for shops, the price of what it is digitally, and all that stuff. So like that's some of the stuff I do. Like that, I do. I mean, obviously there's some wacky work that it's like here, but it's an internship.
Yeah. No, where I work, we make our interns do a lot of like grunt work. So this sounds actually pretty nice.
It was cool. The best part about working with them is so they had an open call for interns. I applied, and there was like a questionnaire thing too with it. It was very unconventional. It was like, what are your So it's like what are your favorite comics? Why?
Mm-hmm.
How many comics do you read? Stuff like that to see if you're interested in working for a comic publisher, or I think it was to get those people out there just like, oh, I want to get into publishing. So like for book stuff, which is very different.
Right.
A comic editor probably couldn't be a book editor, and a book editor probably couldn't be a comic editor.
Right.
It's a fork in the road. And so they asked me over Skype, Kit, who's in charge of me, she was like, what do you want to learn from this internship? And I was like, well, here's kind of some of the stuff that I'd like to learn. I was like, I want to learn about, stuff about marketing, digital comics, and all this. And then she's like, cool. She goes, because they want me to learn.
Right.
Which was the nice thing, because most places like, cool, we need you for free work.
Yeah.
This does not feel like that. They're like, cool, we're going to help you get here, and in helping you learn, you're helping us.
Right. That's
so it's
nice.
a win-win.
Yeah. That's really cool. Because I feel like in a lot of industries, there's always that standard of like you need so much experience to get this job, but you can't ever get that experience because
the catch-22.
Yeah. And so that's really nice that you're able to actually get that experience through this internship. So you're still doing it?
Yeah, I'm still doing it.
Okay.
I actually even worked on stuff today for him. So
Nice. How long is that for?
well, I think it was supposed to be a 6-week thing, but now I think it's
Oh
just
wow.
to do. I mean, let's see here. I started in March,
Okay.
and I mean it's end of May now. I'm
Mhm.
gonna keep doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose. I mean, I work full time and I live at home,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get my own stuff going. But this is one of those chances you can't just let
Oh, no doubt.
You never know where it's gonna lead,
Uh-huh.
and who knows? I mean, I know I want to work comics and I want to write them, but who knows? It doesn't mean I'm gonna ever, like if someone offered me an editorial position as an assistant editor or in a marketing department, like say like Boom or IDW, I would never
Right.
turn something like that down because it's like Neil Gaiman says: is it closer to the mountain than where you're at?
Yeah.
If it is, take it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I got offered jobs later that in the past they would have got me closer, but now they take me farther away, and
Right.
it's one of those things. But
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's really cool. I'm fairly jealous that you get to do that. Even I mean, I'm glad what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. But no, it's really cool to get to work in comics like that. I think it's mostly just like the publishing and all that aspect of it is really interesting to me. Anyway, I work in marketing too, so that's really kind of cool.
I didn't know anything about the behind the scenes stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you have your idea of how it works,
Mm-hmm.
what you read online, from what you hear people say. But until you actually, or I don't know, you want to say in the trenches, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
you really don't understand. And you ever want to limit yourself, especially in a career in the arts.
Exactly.
Never.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. Yeah. Trying to think if I have any other questions. I think we covered a lot of what I had. Do you have anything that you just wanted to talk about?
Talk about, man, I could go on for hours about comics and pro wrestling in general.
Well, that's why you have your YouTube channel, I suppose.
Yeah, and I've been doing I mean, like, it's funny because I'll do these YouTube videos, and so like the Ramblin' Hamblins,
Yeah.
and they're just, sometimes they're just about, oh, this is what I'm reading, this is what I'm watching. Sometimes they're about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I did 2 interviews. Like, I did an interview with Phil Hester.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that one.
And then I did an interview with Ryan Brown, who does God Astronauts at Image.
Mm-hmm.
And like I get disappointed on this because I'm like, oh, we got like 20 or 30 views, or like maybe 50.
Mm-hmm.
But then I get people who message me like, dude, I love that you do this. It's so cool. Or somebody who's like, yeah, I don't watch them every time you post them, but then I'll sit there and watch 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like peering, like the artists and creators that I like in anything, like screenwriters, whatever. Getting to look into their life was always super cool.
Yeah.
And it felt personal to me, like when they get personal. Yeah, when they get personal, it feels personal. But
Obviously.
they let you in a little bit.
Yeah.
So I thought, why not do that? And even one of them I did while I was driving to work. So it's like, plus especially like for artists, if artists have like a Facebook page or a website or an Instagram, they can just, ooh, cool, look, I doodled this and post that up.
Yeah.
And they would always have content that way, or content.
Yeah.
For a writer, it's like, especially for a comics writer, it's like, well, sometimes I have some pictures from this project, or I can't show this yet, and I'm like, well, these videos are something that I can constantly give people.
Yeah.
And they can just go through and binge if they want to. Like, if you just discovered me and you're like, who the hell is this guy I think he is? And then you're like, oh, that's who the hell this guy thinks he is.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's kind of how I felt when I first started watching.
Who the hell does this guy think he is?
Yeah. And then, but no, it's I only really subscribe to you and Tom for YouTube, and and kind of like what you were saying, I don't sit and watch them every time they come out, but I'll just kind of binge when I have the time, and it's especially yours is really interesting just to kind of hear about your not your process, but just how you've kind of, because you've talked about a lot of your past with the comics and coming up, and then I caught your interview of, I can't remember who it was, but I think you were coming back from
I was
Comic Book Day.
literally stranded on the side of the road because my tire blew up. That's literally I asked to interview him on the way home, and then our tire blew up. So
yeah, and then there's like, it's a 2-parter because you got a phone call.
it was a phone call with the people that were going to come pump my tire.
Okay, well that was important then. I thought maybe it was just like some random caller. He's like, oh good.
Hey baby, what up?
Should have gotten that on the recording. Maybe not.
Yeah, pretty hot. Woo.
Yeah. Another thing I was jealous of is you were at C2E2. You had a 360 camera, or your friend did.
It's my brother-in-law. Yeah.
Okay, that was kind of cool.
We just put it on a selfie stick and put it up and walked through.
Yeah, that was probably one of the first 360 camera experiences I had, like watching. It was just kind of fun to just look, especially because I've never been to C2E2, so it was nice to kind of get to see it. Then I enjoyed it, so thank you.
Oh yeah, it was cool because especially because we figured, well, let's leave it on while we walk from inside the show floor across and then out into like the hallway where all the cosplayers are at.
Yeah, so that was nice. Do you have any more like fun stories you'd like to tell?
Fun stories. Oh God, let's think of the appropriate ones.
Oh yeah, keep it fairly clean.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a ton of anything that's like scandalous or that. I mean, I'm basically a nobody. I mean, that sounds bad, but I mean, as far as comics goes, I'm self-published. I've not done high profile.
Just not a somebody yet.
I was at this library convention. This kid, I was talking to him all day. He was a cool kid. He was probably like, he's 14. He was going to be going into high school in the fall. And he goes, "Can you sign a business card for me?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then he goes, "So how famous are you?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not even famous on the internet." So he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You write comics." And I'm like, "Oh, my naive young friend. My naive young friend."
You should have kept his hopes up. Oh, well.
I know. I don't think it makes him because he's just like, "You're lying to me because I'm going to sell this on eBay for $5 billion." And it was cool. That's awesome. The coolest thing about going to conventions. Yeah. I've always said is like, for me, is when you get a kid that comes up and is generally excited about comics. At some of these small library shows I do, like this mom was like, "Oh yeah, he wrote these." The kid's like, "You wrote this?" And like he got like close to me, he's like, "This right here, you wrote this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I wrote it." And he goes, Mom, we gotta buy this.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Where can we find you on the internet to help you get more famous?
More internet famous. So the main place you can find me is hamblincomics.com. Okay. You go on there. I post blog posts. I post on my YouTube stuff on the. It's through Tumblr, but I have the domain, and it has everything. And there's free comics you can read on there as well. And then the other place is facebook.com/Austin Allen Hamblin, and that's my author page. And I post 5-6 times a day of stuff, and it's not necessarily all just like, "Oh, here's this about me, here's this about me." I'll post funny stuff, interesting news articles. I try to get debates going. It's just a fun page to be around, and it's always active. It's not. There's a lot of creators I know that they'll have a Facebook page, they don't utilize it. They'll have it and they'll post every once in a while, but that's not me. I mean, I'm a big social media dude, so
yeah.
So those are the two main places you can find me at. If you have any questions or anything, you can email me at austinallenhamblin@gmail.com. Okay. But those are the places.
Are you on Twitter?
I am at Austin A. Hamblin.
Okay, I'm a Twitter guy.
I love Twitter.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's all I have. I don't know. Unless there's more you have.
No, that works for me.
Okay. Well, it was good chatting with you. I look forward to running into you at a con soon.
Oh, we will, especially since you're friends with Tom.
Yeah. I might be going to. Can't remember. There's a con in July, like July 2nd, or that first weekend in July.
Boone.
Maybe, I don't know. I might be doing that with him. I think it was a 3-day show.
It might be the one. There's one in Ohio too, or not?
Ohio. Yep.
Omaha.
Or yeah, Omaha.
I always think of Ohio.
Yeah, the Omaha one. I might be. I'm not 100% sure if I can make it, but Ocon, I think is what it's called.
Yep, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Omaha.
So. Omaha. Are you gonna go to that? Or do you know?
Wow, Omaha. I don't think so. I don't know.
Whatever. Will you be at Emma or what is it called now? Midwest Comic Con?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I'm setting up there. So.
I'll definitely see you there.
Oh yeah.
So cool. Well, it was good talking to you. I'm glad that I finally got to meet you.
Yeah.
And I will continue following you on the internet and liking the silly things that you say.
The weird.
Yes, that. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Woo!
So yeah, that was the conversation I got to have with Austin Allen Hamblin. It was a lot of fun to get to learn about a creator who's been kind of doing it for a little while, but is still quite a young age and really got just a ton of passion and working really hard at comics and wanting to break into the industry. So if you'd like to help him out, he gave you those social networking and websites and everything that you can visit. Again, that's at hamblincomics.com. So just head on over there, give him some love. And once again, you can always find us at indiecomic.audio. Find us on Twitter, indiecomic.audio. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/indiecomicninja. So yeah, that's the episode for this month. You can catch our interviews the first Tuesday of every month. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks. Bye. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, okay. Just making sure you could hear me. It was lagging.
Can you see me?
Yes. Do you want to see me? I don't have a shirt on.
Oh, I don't know. It's really fine.
Nope. Now you get to experience it.
Okay. I just figured it might make conversation easier, I guess. It's unnecessary. Hey, man. That's sexy.
Appreciate it.